Hey everybody, welcome. It's Tuesday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to give everybody a little bit of time to pop in here. Oh, do you guys like the hat that I put on Michael? I always hate doing this. He's got a Nightmare on Elm Street bucket hat on. It's beautiful. So, if you're here, make sure to say hello in the chat. And, feel free to add your stories, add your comments. I'll respond to them as they come in. Hey there, Brandon. Welcome. Thank you so much for being the new sub. It's nice to see you here in the studio that is spooky on a lovely, lovely Tuesday. Hey, Alex. Welcome. What's up, buddy? Well, let's go ahead and get into it. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze first. Okay. I think we're good. Nope. Lime green lollipops. For some reason, a couple years ago, somebody told me about that, and every time I think it was either for coughing or for sneezing, but I just use it for everything now, and it works. I think it's the placebo effect. But in any case, welcome to this week's episode of My Spooky Studio, where I talk about something either in the studio, something happening in the world of horror, something happening in my world of horror, etc., etc. This week, as you could probably tell from either what I posted on social media or the title of this, hey there, Brandon. Thanks so much for loving my collection. Love to hear that you have been a Fredhead since you were a kid. Probably going to continue on that thought on this video. Would love to know more about that. Speaking of being a kid and being, a horror fan of some kind since you were a kid, today's episode is about Kindertrauma. In other words, Kindertrauma is basically things that have terrified kids or still do terrify kids, whether they're meant to or not. So think of like The Little Mermaid, Ursula. When she gets really, really big, that was one of my big Kindertrauma moments. The Little Mermaid was my favorite Disney movie, but that freaked me out. The old hag version of the evil queen from the original Snow White and the Forests freaked me out. I think I only saw Snow White like twice when I was a kid. Of course, there's horror movies, there's Goosebumps. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff out there for kids, and then not for kids that kids happen to see. That's their Kindertrauma. England documentary on deck. Welcome. Boop, boop. Mike says Return to Oz Wheelers. Okay, so I have heard about this a ton, which made me watch Return to Oz within the last year because I'd never ever seen it. But people were like, the queen, or is she a princess, who like changes her head, and then the Wheelers and just different aspects of that movie. So I, of course, had to watch it, and I could totally see how it's freaky. Absolutely. Jurassic Park. Oh, of course, Jurassic Park. That was definitely one that I saw when I was a kid. Thank you, Captain, for that one. I mean, like, just the raptors eating people freaked me out. The very beginning of Jurassic Park, when the guy gets trapped in that enclosure and he gets eaten, freaked me out, man. Don't even get me started. Hey there, Dealoth. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. My name is Deandra, and I do not like to mispronounce people's names. Hey, Captain, I'm a bit late, but never. Better late than never. I remember seeing Texas Chainsaw Massacre as a kid, afraid to let Beagle out in yard as somebody would get with chainsaw. Oh my God. Children shouldn't play with dead things. That is one of the big things, is like being severely concerned for your animals after you watch something, or just like watching animals die in horror movies is awful. There's the movie that we watched for the next episode of Snacks and Screams, and a lot of animals die in it, and it's really, really hard to watch. I didn't know this was part of the plot until we watched it. I was like, hate this. After I saw that movie, I would never mess with dead. I have real trauma from as early as I remember. I equated that to Prisoner from the Horned Helm, like the Death Dealer novels. I got stuck on it too. I've never read the Death Dealer novels. Alex said, Mumby. Brandon said, Snow White's Scary Adventures did scare me. Riding that with my mom, I always dove under the safety bar when we passed by the witch. I'm telling you, she's freaky. She had like that, not to pick on old people or anything, but she had like that deep voice. And the whole transformation when the queen drinks that potion and then just like her hair and her hands, and she just got, oh, couldn't handle it. Even Pinocchio, the original Disney Pinocchio, I could never watch it. I think I've only seen it like 3 times because it was so trippy. I'm gonna have to watch it again because it freaked me out, which is why I haven't even watched it again as an adult. I feel like those things that you watch when you're younger and they stick with you, just like certain things stick with you. Not everything does, but like a lot of things. I mean, there were a couple horror movies I saw when I was a kid that really, really scared me. What Lies Beneath. Just like, those tell me some of the moments in like movies, horror movies or not, or books that freaked you out as a kid? What are some of the things, and, like, is it still with you? Do you still get kinda creeped out by it when you watch those movies? Do you still watch them at all? Let me know. What Lies Beneath, the scene when, they're under the water and then that, like, dead girl shows up, I never forgot that. That was burned into my brain, and I wasn't even really allowed to watch it. I just kinda snuck by watching my parents watch that movie, and I wish I hadn't. Hey, slash track, peanut butter solution freaked me out really bad as a kid. What is that? Because I don't know what that is, but I totally want to check it out. Sup? Hey, Corey, welcome, buddy. What scared you when you were a kid? It upset me, Song of the South rated G, when talking about throwing dogs in the water bag thing. That kind of stuff shakes me. Dentist too, like the dentist horror, Mr. Giggles. I feel like I've seen Mr. Giggles. I'm not entirely sure. But Song of the South, I also have not seen it, but of course am familiar with it because I love Disney. I've looked up certain things about it. I've just never seen it because it's not something that I could have just rented, but I'm sure there's some way I could find to watch it. I just haven't kind of put it out there, but I've always been curious. Artie from Ireland, Danny B. Brandon said the first time I saw Pennywise with sharp teeth. Nope. He's going in the thumbnail. Well, one of the versions of him in the thumbnail of this, because I have heard that time and time again of people just seeing Pennywise with the sharp teeth. Just, oh, yeah, extremely freaky. Because clowns are supposed to be fun and nice. And I think that's one of the things that's always so interesting about them is that they're supposed to be funny and um friendly, especially for kids. But when you twist it and they're not, it's very haunting, you know? Um, Slash Track says Peanut Butter Solution was a really weird kids movie where kids get scared bald by ghosts. What? Was that supposed to be bad? I don't know. And has to use peanut butter on his head to throw his hair back. Wait a minute. I am I'm pretty sure I have actually heard of this. Um, Holy cow, I'm definitely gonna have to check this out. I'm almost positive, and I know where I think I've heard it, but you describing it just jarred my memory. Um, Brandon asked, "What did you think of the Pennywise documentary?" I don't know if I think I made it probably halfway through and then had to shut it off and then actually forgot about it. Corey talks about Legend where Tim Curry's darkness comes out of a mirror, and it freaked me out for a long time. I saw Legend once, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, just to check it out, just that dark '80s fantasy. If I'd have seen that as a kid, it would have traumatized me without a doubt. Trash ass. Why do I keep saying slash track? I am so sorry. I have no idea why I was reading it that way. Um, Hi, Isabel. When I was little, the Puppet Master 2 was okay TV, and the scenes where the guy got his head drilled from the puppet's name, I ran out the door. I was like 7. Oh my gosh. Was it just like going around, just like flipping through channels? Because I feel like I did that a lot as a kid, is just flipping through channels and you'd happen to pop on to like something. Wrath of Khan Star Trek. Earworm is earwigs. Oh, even cover your ears when you sleep. That is freaky. Trash acid, yet peanut butter solution horrifying movie should have never been made for kids. It's made for kids? I often wonder, what do you guys think about movies that are made for kids that are super scary? What are your thoughts on that? What do you think the purpose of that is? Do you think it's just like, we wanna entertain kids in a different way, or do you think it's more so for, the lesson factor? Because if you think about the Grimm fairy tales, which I'm sure a lot of you are aware of, they're much more horrifying than, how Disney had made a lot of these fairy tales out to be, often with unhappy and horrific endings, and that usually served the purpose of, like, a life lesson for them, and sometimes that life lesson gets lost in the Disney movies, whereas something more horrifying can kind of stay with you longer term. And in certain cultures, there's a lot of those legends that last over time. And people are scared of these legends. And, whether it be like La Llorona or, something like the Chupacabra, or oh gosh, what is that? She's like a witch in Germany. No, there's another one. I can't remember, but I've heard of this story. I'm so sorry. I'm blanking on her. Just these different mythical creatures that exist, or like Krampus. The story of Krampus and like coming after the bad kids and stuff like that. What do you think of those kind of stories? Do you think they're a little bit too horrific for kids, or do you think they serve a purpose? Google. Yes. Um, Isabel said, "Yeah, like Return to Oz, scene with the heads." We were just talking about Return to Oz. Scary kids movies, they don't hold back on the scares, and kids like being entertained. We do, but it hits kids differently. When things scared you as a kid, like, how did it affect you guys? Did you have to sleep with the lights on? Is it like a lasting fear that you've had in your adulthood? Like, tell me a little bit about that. Camera Captain said, "All dogs go to heaven when Charlie goes to hell and meets a demon." Is that in the movie? I haven't seen that movie in forever. Is is that a thing? I don't even remember that. Disney's Something Wicked This Way Comes is a great movie for kids. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I watched that a couple years ago because I had also heard about just all these movies that freaked kids out that I'd never seen. And I was like, well, I'm very curious. And whew, that was very, very freaky. Another one that was recent that I watched, because I'd also heard things about it, was Don't Look Under the Bed. I don't know how I missed that. It must have been, like, right before my time, I believe, but I feel like it was still during my time when I could have, watched it. Um, don't like bugs. Yeah, I wonder what it's like to watch a movie like Arachnophobia when you don't like bugs, because I don't mind bugs, so those movies never really quite get to me. They said, "Oh, man, scared mirrors scared me a lot as a kid." I mean, Poltergeist 3 and Nightmare 3 had something to do with that. I can totally see. And then, people still talk about these legends about mirrors and how they're the gateway to just like another dimension. And superstitions say don't put them like facing your bed because of bad things. It's super interesting. Camera Captain said, "Would I really forget?" I mean, I don't think you would. Eric said was born in 1982. We weren't coddled gremlins. Indiana Jones 2 were a great way to ease us into Freddy, Dark Crystal, Legend and Labyrinth. Yeah, man, the 80s, the dark fantasy movies of the 80s, super creepy. Like, even like when I was a kid in the 90s and I watched some of those, horrifying. Some of those Jim Henson puppeteering things, very freaky. Of course, just even the never ending story. Nope. Bad memories, sad memories, and scared memories of that one. Dark Crystal, I still have to see that. I have not seen Dark Crystal, but I'm gonna put it on my list now. Um, Brandon said, "When I watched as a youngin', I was so traumatized by it, I couldn't face the VHS cover for years. Horror Find the Ghastly Grinner." Telling you. You know another movie that a lot of people I loved it as a kid, but this never freaked me out, was in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, The Child Catcher. For some reason, he never bothered me, but he bothered a ton of kids. I have a friend who would, like, sleep her window was over her bed, and she would, like, tuck her legs up so she wouldn't be under or near the window so the child catcher wouldn't get her. Um, Born to be Rad. Hey, what's up, Garrett? Said Ewoks movie has some freaky scenes that scared me as a kid. Really? Jason Mills, welcome. Sorry, guys. You guys have been talking, which I'd love to see. The kid floating and knocking on the window of Salem's Lot freaked me out as a kid. That has made a ton of lists, let me tell you. Beetlejuice, some scary stuff in there. Totally. I mean, that guy that's run over that is hanging with the tire tracks, I was so weirded out by that. So weirded out. Garbage Pail Kids movie was creepy. Haven't seen it, gonna add it to my list. Yeah, give me a list of, like, movies that freaked you out as a kid, and I'm gonna just go through here and just write a bunch of them down that I haven't seen, and I'm gonna watch them. First horror film was either Friday the 13th, Eric says 6, or Nightmare on Elm Street 4 when I was, like, 4 or 5, so I got numb quick. Through though Sleepaway Camp, The Exorcist did get me a bit, but I forced myself. Do you have any of those remaining fears of those movies as you've gotten older? Garrett said Entity is one of the most uncomfortable movies to watch. I feel like it gets more uncomfortable with age. Super traumatizing. I watched The Entity within the last 3 years, I wanna say, maybe 4. It's hard to tell since the pandemic. It's just is all a blur. Actually, I think it might have been 4 years. Very freaky movie. And I hear that, it just like the ending, like, it was never resolved. Still kinda happened. I mean, based on true story stuff. Freaky. Adam said, sorry guys, I'm gonna get through these a little bit, going back. Entity, Clown Doll from Poltergeist. Big one, big one. Watch movies in the dark to get over it. Bro, you are so brave, Eric. Isabeau said Lollipop. Henry said, I mean, The Black Cauldron was Disney and incredibly dark and bleak. Another movie that I watched in the last couple of years, and totally. Disney didn't hold back. They were not effing around, kids. Chud, Dark Crystal film. Don't worry about the Netflix show as it was canceled. I'm going to watch the film and then I'm going to watch the show because it looks interesting. Salem's Lot, everybody in Salem's Lot. Scared from Willy Wonka. Yeah, man. Willy goes psycho and they show a chicken getting decapitated. Or like Augusta, like he gets sucked up. What happens to him? And then when they start talking about, when the girl falls out, she's going to go in like the incinerator or no? Yeah. Like what? The incinerator? You're going to incinerate kids? Are you serious? You threatening that? Very curious. What is in your candy, Willy Wonka? Is it children? It better not be. We're going to have to open a case about this. Dragon Slayer from Disney. Beetlejuice cartoon. Cliffhanger. First horror movie seeing in theater. Mine was Jeepers Creepers. I was 9 years old. Jeepers Creepers, big freak out for me. I don't really like to watch the movies anymore because we all know about how the creator was, molesting kids and stuff like that. So I try to avoid it. But Jeepers Creepers was a big, big one for me. I saw it at a sleepover. And the scene when he bites the tongue out of the severed head, the policeman's head, and he pulls it like gum. I watched that and went, oh crap. And then it would just like randomly pop up on like sci-fi when I'd be flipping through channels. One day it popped up. I screamed bloody murder. My mom was like, what's going on? I was like, it's the movie. It's Jeepers Creepers. I have never reacted about a movie like that before. And then I just didn't want to go near cornfields, especially at night. You would never catch me. Never. And then we moved and we were near a field, not a cornfield, but a big field. And I thought, I'm done for. He's going to come out of that field and he's going to get me. Horrified me. Absolutely horrified me. As for the first horror movie, seeing it in the theater, I was much, much older because I didn't go see horror movies in the theater when I was younger. It wasn't until we became a horror fan. I would actually say one of the first movies that I saw in the theater was, or like close to it, might have been Sweeney Todd. It kind of counts, but I didn't like it. The slicing of the throats freaked me out, and cannibalism freaks me out. So I was like, oh my God, there's just blood and squirting everywhere because I was new to horror. And I was like, oh my God, I just can't take it. And then I came back in because I had to go to the bathroom. I had to like take a moment. I was like washing off my face. I went back in. And then they were like, we're going to make meat pies. And I was like, it just got worse. And it freaked me out. Um, yeah, Willy Wonka, Alice in Wonderland, 1985 TV movie you gotta watch. That was what you and Paige were talking about, right, Garrett? The Gate, Trolls, yep, Zelda running the mother, Pet Cemetery, Zelda, huge one. Huge, huge, huge. What a freak. I'm telling you, Zelda. Speaking of Jim Henson's, oh, sorry, Corey, I lost your comment. Going back, James Ladder. Rush that's going on. Roller coasters, horror and roller coasters. Big feels. Witches from 1990 starring Angelica Houston when they take off their faces. I read the book before I saw the movie, so I knew what was coming, but it was way more horrifying than I thought. Jacob's Ladder is on my list because I've heard it's terrifying to a lot of people. Cloak and Dagger. Gotta watch that. Clown House. First horror movie was Lady in White. I was 4. I haven't seen that, but now I'm gonna have to watch it. Tell me more about that, Corey. Candy Out of Kids Slugworth. Oh, Children of the Corn. We don't like corn here. I love corn, but like we don't have to go into cornfields. People Under the Stairs. You saw People Under the Stairs when you were 8? That is a freaky one. Yeah, Disney used to have guts. Turning Red was a great film, but parents freaked out over it. Yet me growing up had Maleficent and Sleeping Beauty and Return to Oz with a little switch, right? People are like, oh my God, we can't talk about bodily things that happen to all these women, but like, do you guys want to watch a mummy come back to life on the Disney Channel? Sounds great. Man-eating oil monster from Creepshow 2. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, that is so scary. I can't go on lakes. No one will ever catch me on a raft. Ever. Israel, welcome. The movie Ghost Dad with Bill Cosby scared the crap out of me. Is it because he's Bill Cosby and we know about that now? I've never seen Ghost Dad. I don't even know if I've ever heard of it. Alice in Wonderland TV movie. I'm gonna have to watch it because Alice in Wonderland is freaky as is. I mean, we know about just the different iterations over the years have been horrifying. I mean, the idea of cutting off people's heads constantly, sure, Disney made it look all rosy, but you could make that extremely dark. Stephen King, Cat's Eye, Chucky. I mean, what a toy is supposed to be your friend, and you're supposed to love it and supposed to be your protector, and then you get something like Chucky where it's actually a murderer. Girl, catch me being petrified for life. Scream and Scream 2 in 97 on VHS when I was 5. Brandon said I was Ghostface that year. Good choice. 1982 made for TV movie. Don't go to sleep. Ooh. Zabu, have you seen the movie Dolls? No, but I know what the cover looks like and I would like to watch it. Adding that to my list. Thank you. I agree. Trash Stash said in Ghost Dad, he dies and is floating through telephones and choking people and stuff as a ghost. Oh, how horrifying. All the nightmare movies. Flowers in the Attic. Oh, don't watch Ghost Dad. Not because of Cosby, but bad film. Now I definitely got to watch it because you told me not to. And now I have to. Stephen King miniseries called The Tommyknockers. Oh, man. I've heard good and bad things about it, but it is also on my list. One of the other movies that scared me as a kid, speaking of Stephen King, and I have 2 copies of the VHS back here, is The Langoliers. I remember watching that on TV when I was much younger, and just those big creepy things for like the longest time because I hadn't seen it in probably 20 years until I decided to Google it one day. I just and like they're eating the airport, you know what I'm talking about? For some reason, I thought they looked like the ball and chain like monsters from Mario, and I was just imagining them in my head, and then I saw it later on, and it was still super freaky. But that movie freaked me out. The Langoliers, Puppet Master, Tommyknockers. Got to see that. Jumanji, the good one with Robin Williams. Okay, first of all, I love the original Jumanji. Very, very terrifying. Just everything that happens in that movie is so freaky. I mean, just the little creatures that come out and the vines and oh, that's a freaky movie. But I do like the newer movies. They actually make me laugh a lot. And I dance to Oh Baby, I Love Your Way. I love that song. Changeling, a good one. Drawings in the book Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Surprisingly, I never read that book. because I actually did really like scary books when I was a kid. I would only go to the library and take out different Goosebumps. Fear Street by R.L. Stine was huge for me. I had a couple of the Fear Street books, and I remember going to get them. The one that stands out in my mind the most is called, it's usually so easy when it comes to me when I think of it. Um, Crap, I'm gonna look it up real quick. I'm gonna go on my phone. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Zathura, yes. Robin Williams, yes. Fear Street fan, good, good. 1 hour photo is good. Haven't seen that mentioned Goosebumps. Man, I'm telling you, I love Goosebumps so much. I am making my way back through the TV show now. What is it called? What is it? Hold on. What is this? It was a witch. There it is. The Betrayal. Oh, The Betrayal. And they were talking about burning witches alive. There are a couple of different things that have made me have just like ongoing fears. Last House on the Left. Yeah, it looked like a snuff film, but was creepy, Jason. I agree. Um, it's just not my thing. I really didn't like it that much, but I do like the remake a lot. Fear Street, Goosebumps. Tell me about your favorite Goosebumps stories, guys. Any of you who really, really like the Goosebumps stories, tell me about it. Which one stuck out to you? Was it Slappy? He got me a couple times. Great movie, Nail Gun Massacre. Cheaper than a chainsaw. It's classic to me. 1980 Cat's Eye. Twilight Zone, Tales from the Crypt. Alfred Hitchcock were like late night faves. Yes, dude, Tales from the Crypt. My cousin had a little like a crypt keeper statue that my aunt would put out at Halloween, and he had the book in front of him with like a candle that would flicker, and then he'd speak. And I couldn't go down into their basement because he freaked me out too much. But what I was saying was some of the movies and things that freaked me out when I was a kid that I still am kind of afraid of are The Betrayal, being burned alive. That it was like one of those things. I remember sitting in an Aldi's parking lot and my grandparents were inside and I just couldn't put this book down and just reading about, burning people alive and what it was like. It horrified me. I had nightmares, freaked me out. I'm still terrified of the idea of being burned alive. On Fox Family, which is now was ABC Family, and then now Freeform, when they had their Halloween marathon, they had The Hollow, which actually that might have been one of the first horror movies I saw about the headless horseman with Kaylee Cuoco in it and Nick Carter. And it was just they were cutting off heads, and it was brutal, and it was visible, and it was just out there for the entire world to see. And I watched that, and cutting off heads freaked me out when I remember going a couple times to New York when I was younger, and we went to Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, and they had a room dedicated to guillotines and, like, cutting people's heads off, and I was horrified in that room because of The Hollow. So those movies still freak me out. Um, Choose Your Own Adventure Goosebumps with a vampire poodle on the cover. Oh, dude, I remember that one. Twilight Zone movie is scary. Actually, to be fair, lots of things freak me out. Eric said Jennifer and I are getting more into Giallo films lately. Very cool. Night of the Living Dummy, Scarecrow Walks at Midnight, and Horror at Camp Jelly Jam. That's so cute. Are Corey's favorites. Jason loves Goosebumps Welcome to Horrorland. Just had the hoodie on today. Um, Trash Stash blah, blah, said, I used to get scared going to church. I went to a creepy old Catholic church with lots of realistic crucifixion sculptures and art. Oh my gosh. I was also Catholic, but my statues were not that realistic. Adam said, Are You Afraid of the Dark was great. Horror series, dude. Are You Afraid of the Dark was like leagues more terrifying than Goosebumps, in my humble opinion. It was just like straight up serious. Have you guys Okay, so maybe this is after your time, I don't know, but do you remember So Weird on the Disney Channel? Nobody talked about it for the longest time, and then now it is on Disney Plus, and people talk about it because of that. Just like no, I couldn't find it anywhere. I'm like, am I crazy? I freaking loved that show so much. Um, Adam said, or Brandon said, Ghost Camp, welcome to Dead House, stay out of the basement. Eric said, ever read the old EC Comics, Tales from the Crypt? Stay true for the most part. I read some of them, but I have not read all of them. Tales from the Dark Side. Um, stop getting DVDs when they change the music. Are You Afraid of the Dark? Erie, Indiana came out when I was a teenager. Dude, Erie, Indiana, holy crap. Memory unlocked. First Evil Dead movie, stabs with pencil. Ooh, that stab, and then in Pet Cemetery when Gage goes to, um, guys, I'm so sorry that my brain is freaking out right now. Um, just basically all the ankle slashing. Disney Mr. Boogedy, that is a freaky cover. Very freaky. It keeps popping up on my Disney Plus too, and I'm like, I don't want to look at that. I'm an adult and I don't want to look at that. Freddy's Nightmares, full of just horrific imagery. Black Sabbath shirt. Hey, what's up? I got this at a thrifting. I'd like a good thrifting like show. It was only like $10. You know, if the normies had gotten their hands on this, it would have been 75 and been full of bleach. You know. Erie, Indiana, yeah. Once again, Clive Barker had the Nightbreed, then Hellraiser. Dude, to see those as a kid, I can't even imagine. Therapy. Large Margin, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Yes, yes, very much so. Even certain Scooby-Doo episodes. Can we talk about the one that goes, "Moo-" scary, scary as heck. Horror overload because of us. No worries. Yes, dude. I'm racking my brain with my things and then like talking to you guys about these, and new memories are unlocked. So I have to like take time to just sit with it for a second. Real Ghostbusters cartoons. Oh, in Ghostbusters, the librarian when she gets freaky, or the giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I would have pooed my pants if I had seen that in real life. And then in the second one, when it starts out with the two ghost brothers, they had a way of making those ghosts just absolutely ugly. Terrifying. Vigo, ho ho, when he got evil, no thank you. Or Janusz, when he came in the little carriage and he got Oscar and he put him in there and he left. Oh my gosh, no, close the window and lock it. Thank you. Disney's The Scream Team. Oh yes, Kathy and Jimmy, Eric, I don't love it. Ozfest, nice. I saw that Ozzy's retiring, and that made me so sad. Snake Man, 1984 Dreamscape movie. I want to see that just because he was incorporated into the Nightmare poster. Scooby-Doo teaches kids that people are the real monsters. Important stuff. That's it. That's the thing with a lot of these stories, I think, is that it just teaches kids about certain things, even if they can be extremely scary, is a way to kind of really get through to you. But all I ever got from these things was just nightmares. I don't think I ever learned a single lesson from most of these things. I think um A Nightmare on Elm Street taught me a lot more than like, The Little Mermaid. I don't think I learned any sort of lesson from that other than how to want to follow my dreams. Sorry, Ursula, even though she's my favorite Disney character. Um, Old school Halloween DC comms. Don't look under the bed. Phantom of the Megaplex. Yes! Phantom of the Megaplex. Don't look under the bed. Under wraps. Halloween Town. Even Halloween Town freaked me out a bit. Calabar? Dude, no. In the second Halloween Town, when they put the spell and everybody turns into creatures and the mom becomes that like green goblin witch thing. Oh, nope. Not okay with me. Absolutely not okay with me. Ghostbusters, all the hands coming out of the chair and grabbing Sigourney Weaver. Oh, so freaky. Can you imagine just getting held down by these demon hands and then shoved into your refrigerator with the dog in there? How did it take over? Did it eat them? Did it eat them? I'm assuming it ate them. I'm gonna have to sneeze here in a second. Green lollipops? Nope, not gonna work. Excuse me. Kids now don't get that, and it's making many soft. I don't know if it's making them soft. I think they've got other things to make them hardened. Gen Z is definitely pretty hardened. They don't take anything seriously. 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. Phew, that's so sorry. Courage the Cowardly Dog with Freaky Fred, the dude who loves cutting hair. All of Courage the Cowardly Dog. What about the thing that was standing out there in the field? You know what I'm talking about? That guy with the hair and the cloak and the Mm-mm. Every episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog. It's terrifying. Walk on Always Believe. Welcome. I've only ever been scared by one film, which is a 1990s It. My cousin put it on when I was 4. Huge fear of clowns. Checks out. Alien. Heads on spikes on the train tunnel in Ghostbusters too. The Sacrament. Did you have any Disney villain crushes? You thought Ursula's hot, my girl. I don't know if I had Disney villain crushes. Today I do, but it kind of counts and it kind of doesn't. Is Once Upon a Time the Evil Queen. Big time. As for, like I said, Ursula is my favorite Disney character, so I don't have a crush on her, but she's fabulous, and we both love red lipstick and red nails and making an entrance, you know? That's what I love about a lot of Disney villains. A lot of them have green eyes, which I have, and they have red nails and red lipstick, which I love. So, you know, Disney villain aesthetic right up my alley. Jaws freaked me out. Yes. Blonde from Captain Planet. Hades, Aliens, Pinocchio. Jason, I don't know if you were here earlier, Jason Mills, when I was talking about Pinocchio and how much it freaked me out, and I still have only seen it like 3 times in my life. Heck yes, Regina. You see all the nightmare stuff here? I also really love Once Upon a Time, but I don't have anywhere near this collection for Once Upon a Time. Pinocchio's nose get bigger is the real question for me. Because magic. I don't know. Fantasia. Oh, the Fantasia. Freaky. Very, very freaky. A lot of Disney. Extremely scary. Yeah, I talked a lot about like the princess movies, how scary those were. But yeah, there was a lot of the other ones that were just super, super freaky. Kind of resemble Regina, not gonna lie. That is a whole other story. That is, I cosplay Regina a lot, and I have met Lana, and like I have a TikTok account that is dedicated to Regina because of that. So we could talk about that another day. Oh, also though, Lana, who plays Regina, is a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan. Freddy is her favorite villain of all time. Boom! American Werewolf in London, Thriller music video. Amen. Donald Duck cartoons were scary. Even the Disney Christmas Carol with Uncle Scrooge. All of the Christmas carols ever with the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, aka the Ghost of Christmas Future, very spook. Very, very spook. Scrooged, when he comes up in the TVs and then they open him in the inside and he's just got like the creatures in there. It always freaks me out. He's the final nail in the coffin for everybody, including me. I'm like, nope, stay a good person. Wish they brought Once Upon a Time back and actually explored the non-fairy tale characters like Frankenstein's monster Henry hinted at. Yeah, I do too. Who knows? Maybe they'll do a revival sometime soon. Welcome, Danny. Little Gipper, Afraid of the Clown Doctors in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Big time. Big time. There's just a ton of things that really make you think about, you know, life. And I think, and what do you guys think, since you're all fans, what do you think about showing kids horror movies when they're younger? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? You know, there are a lot of horror actors who are like, I would never let my kids watch certain movies when they're younger. If you have kids, or if you want kids, or you're just thinking about being like, there's a child over there, what do you think about showing that kid horror movies? And would you do it? And if so, why or why not? Danny said, I was spooked when I watched. Christmas Carol every year. 4 versions of A Christmas Carol every year in Scrooged. Depends on the child's age. Hi, Abigail. I think it really depends. Tell me more about that, guys, because like for me being a horror fan, um, I I don't know because I had read a lot of horror books when I was younger, and there were tons of things I was afraid of. I mean, I'm telling you, I um didn't really watch horror movies. I couldn't go into the haunted mansion when I was a kid. I just was terrified of everything, but I was always a little bit curious. Which is very interesting that I ended up becoming a horror fan. I guess it was kind of always out there in the universe for me. But now it's just gone the opposite way. Like I could pretty much watch anything, and I don't really think that it scarred me. But I am curious about the psychological impacts of these movies on kids from a very young age. If it helps them or hinders them in any sort of way, because I've only really seen decent things happening. But I wonder if it's like the same sort of effect as if a kid goes through some kind of actual real trauma, if there's any correlation between what you watch and don't quite know if it's real or fake, and then it kind of, invades your little brain and it traumatizes you for life or like something happening. I'm curious. I have to Google that. Child maturity. Corey said depends on the child in the movie. So what movies do you think are appropriate for kids that are scary? Brandon said, I think it depends on how intense the movie is and the age. I wouldn't show a 6-year-old Evil Dead 2013. Why do you think that is? Why wouldn't you? Israel said, I showed my 10 and 12 the Universal Monsters. Those were some of the first horror movies I ever saw. My cousin loves them. He loved them and he still loves them. He actually has a collection, which is like weird because I'm not the only one in my family that likes horror movies that much. There's 2 of us. 2 of us. Greg said, if it's a horror movie that's definitely made for kids like Coraline, fair. Trash stash. So that I think it's fine to show them monster movies, but I wouldn't show them slasher stuff, Dracula, Frankenstein, alien movies. That's fine. Why not the slashers? Is it because there's also more adult themes in that? Isabu said, yeah, same here. Eric said it's about whether the kids are okay. I mean, I'd love to show my kid horror at an early age, but if they were easily scared, Man, I'm so sorry I got lost. I'd have to tread lightly. Adam said Universal Monsters to start them out. Abigail said, thank you, just brought back a real funny memory. Go on. Monster Squad or Ernest Scare stupid. Corey would start light. Israel said, and now a 15. He's seen a couple more like Krampus, Trick or Treat, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Brandon said, I started horror movies like The Goonies, Gremlins, Ernest Scared Stupid. Fairly, I think, mild. Corey said, Tales from the Crypt Keeper. Good choices. All depends on the movies. Duluth said, Little Gipper said, my first horror movie was Children of the Corn at age 9. Ooh, that's a rough one to start with. Man, that would. Robert, hi, said, did you ever watch 1993's arcade Hello Boys Sound Like Freddy Krueger in the movie? I haven't. Killer Clowns would bother a kid. I actually have Jeremy, who's in Fredheads, his child, Scarlett, loves Killer Clowns. She loves Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I mean, what a great child. Yeah, things can cause trauma. The Path of Fears, Monster Squad, Eric said. Did you watch Skinamarink? Brought back memories when I watched those stupid JK Cinema movies online. I was spooked for a few days. But said I haven't watched it yet. I'm trying to wait for like the right moment because it just looks like one of those movies that's going to probably make me really scared and sad the rest of the day. Brandon said, I love Evil Dead, but maybe show some clips to the child to see how they feel about it before watching the entire film. That's really considerate, testing the waters. Eric said, I'd ease them into horror. Universal Horror and Hammer Horror would be the first. Isabu said, and that was this past week. Gory Bits, hey, said, I blame my kinder trauma on 3 people, Don Mancini, Tom Holland, and Kevin Yeager for Child's Play. Woo-hoo-hoo! So much kinder trauma started with them. Thank you, Eric, for the congrats on Fredhead. Slasher movies, I wouldn't show them because they might emulate the slashes and stab someone. I wouldn't show them until they're teenagers. So, are you saying that you believe that showing kids slasher movies can turn them into a murderer? Curious. Perhaps the moms of the 80s were right? Um, Toxic Crusaders is in here. Don't fall asleep for the first time. Incredible job playing Nancy. Thank you, Erin. I really, really appreciate it. Don't Fall Asleep was definitely a love letter, and we really put our hearts into it. It's all just a team of Nancy fans of, knowing the character and theorizing about the character and working on stuff like that to be able to create a story. So a lot of really good movies, a lot of really great stories, a lot of really great input for, showing kids and not. Um, and I bring this up because the next project that I've been working on, which is kind of why some of the other stuff on this channel has been pushed back, is a documentary that I'm working on now called Kindertrauma, which is about, of course, the things that scare kids. And we talk about just a bunch of different movies and TV shows and books. And there are, psychology professors who were involved in this. So they're going to be able to reveal to us some of these angles about the influence of fear on kids. And then we have different actors and writers and directors involved with sharing their kinder traumas. And of course, like many of us, they started out afraid of something and it eventually turned into a love of horror and they became horror creators of sorts. But the Kickstarter for Kinder Trauma is launching tomorrow, or it's supposed to launch. Yes, the 8th. I couldn't remember what day it was. The 8th tomorrow, Wednesday. And a little bit of a secret. Guess who's the director? Tis I. Tis I. And huge honor for me. Um, it is brought to us, the horror fans, by a lot of the people. We have some people from Fangoria who are behind it. We have a lot of pretty well-known horror writers who are behind it. Just a lot of the people who are on the teams making like In Search of Darkness and some of the other horror documentaries that we're familiar with today is some of the same people who are creating Kinder Drama. And I am honored to be the director of it. It is a first time for me ever being the director of a project, and it is a big one. So, admittedly, I am nervous but excited. And I have heard some really great stuff from like Ernest Dickerson and Sandy King Carpenter and then there are a couple people that I recently got to agree to be a part of the documentary, and I'm super excited to hear from them. Just about, their thoughts on scary things and how it impacts kids and how it all impacted them. Because it's just been something that I've been fascinated with for a while of, even how many horror fans are also Disney fans. Isn't that strange? I don't think a lot of Disney fans are horror fans, but a lot of horror fans are Disney fans. Um, which is such an interesting dynamic because it's like the two opposite ends of the spectrum, but at the same time, Disney has those horror elements in it, and I can't deny that some of those could have very much influenced my interest in the horror genre. Thank you, Adam, for the congrats. Horror can cause kids to grow up wrong. I don't believe Eric said you need to show the negative consequences. Mhm. Trash Stash says, I think it possibly could cause them to stab someone if they don't know right from wrong, but that's just my own parenting. Up to other parents when they want to show their kid. Yeah, this is all on a case by case basis, but I'm just curious about the thought behind that because I feel like I've watched and listened to some true crime stuff, and I don't want to think that horror movies could create psychos, but they certainly could make psychos more creative, right? Right, Billy Loomis. Yeah, different things that can cause issues: neglectful parents, bullies, mental illness, not films or comics or games. I mean, I think that they could definitely have an impact on a kid, but I think those things that are more personal, more, um, direct in their lives could have a greater impact. But that's not to say that some of these movies couldn't really traumatize kids or like affect them in a different way, you know? It'd be interesting to do a study, and I'm sure some have. I feel like I'm gonna have to Google that because I want to know more. We don't give enough credit to hosts for introducing us to horror. Mine was Joe Bob Briggs. Adam said, I don't know how I missed him. He was in the 90s and I was too young and I wasn't really into horror movies, but it was weird that I missed him. But there's part of me that feels like I probably skipped by him somehow. Do you guys remember Dinner in a Movie? Do you remember that? Where they would like cook a dish, usually themed after what they're going to watch, and then watch dinner and watch a movie. I have a VHS tape of Beetlejuice, and there's dinner and a movie right before it, and they're making Blackened Soul to go along with the movie. And man, that was such a great show, Dinner and a Movie. Slasher stuff, Trash Stash says movies like New York Ripper, Maniac, Not Like Freddy and Jason. That's fair. Those ones are, I think, much darker indeed. Hard is like 95% horror and 5% Disney Pixie Dust. You know what? Shame. Garrett said so many horror getaways for me growing up. The doc right up my alley. I certainly hope so. Um, Robert said on TBS, Scream 6 is a true crime killer. That's interesting theory, Eric. I want to explore that at a later time. Amber, welcome, Burn. Hey, Big Papa said, I love Dinner and a Movie. Dinner and a Movie, so great. Beans and cornbread. All right, camera captain. Beans and cornbread got in a fight. I don't understand it, but it's funny. You'll have to explain it to me when I get upstairs, dude. Joe Bob Briggs' kid. Yeah. So like now is a chance for you guys to influence this documentary because here I am, the director, with creative freedom, basically. So like who would you want to hear from in the documentary Kindertrauma? Whose stories do you want to know more about? Who's, from a movie that you watched that freaked you out? Who do you want to hear from? Leave it in the comments. Let me know. What do you want us to explore? What questions do you want asked? What things are you thinking that you want people to talk about? Let me know in the comments. It could appear in the documentary. Give it to me. Joe Bob Briggs, R.L. Stein. Brandon said R.L. Stein. You want to hear from R.L. Stein? Eric said, well, if you do a video on Scream 6 Theory, send me a message so I can tune in. That would be awesome. Yeah. So if you guys have any people that you want to hear from in Kindertrauma, if there are questions and talks that you want to be explored, please let me know. And I will consider it and bring it to the table with the team for us to include in the documentary. And we'll do our best to get people to be a part of it. Adam said they want Elvira involved. Eric said Robert Englund for sure. Planet CHH, welcome. We were talking about our kinder traumas, which are things that scared us as a kid. And then we were also talking about a new documentary that's coming out that I am directing. God, that's so weird. It feels weird to say that. I honestly don't like to say that. I mean, I'm serving the role as the director, but it feels like I'm bragging to say that. It's very weird for me. I just, love to create things. And so I've asked everybody who they want to hear from and what topics in kinder trauma they want us to explore more. So if there's anything that you have that you would like for this documentary to include somebody or something, let me know in the comments. Surprisingly, from a lot of the interviews that I've listened to and watched thus far, a lot of people talk about Freddie, which I'm super excited about. You know me, I gotta have my Freddie. You will never find me doing a project and not find some way to include Freddy Krueger. I mean, come on now. Did you watch the cheesy Sci-Fi Channel monster movies as a kid? Mhm. I want to hear from Charles Band. Cool. Yes, Freddie. Yes, Freddie. Adam said hearing from Rob Zombie would be awesome too, and how it applies to his music career. Very cool. There's actually one person that I'm thinking of that could be related, and perhaps this person could also get us Rob Zombie. So we'll try for that one. Very close. Dinner and a movie with Paul and Annabelle, man, since he made lots of kids' horror movies. Yeah, dinner and a movie. Well, we are coming up here on an hour. And I want to thank you guys so much for being a part of this with me, for talking about Kindertraumas, Night Terrors. Yes, please keep adding. Um, Listen to Mick Garris talk all day if he's a possibility, because he really has had an influence on just a lot of horror movies. And even like think about his involvement with Hocus Pocus. I mean, he has been involved in like adult scary stuff and kids scary stuff. Nick Garris is a great guest. I would love to have him involved. Alice Cooper, Warwick Davis, Leprechaun. We do Kickstarter in the doobly doo. Oh, will you link Kickstarter in the doobly doo? Is the doobly doo the comment section? Is it the description? Is that what we call the doobly doo? I like that. We should get Stuart Little's dad, Dwight H. Little. Stop referencing Snacks and Screams. We should get Merritt. And then we just spend the whole time just trash talking her right to her face. Night Terrors, but even more as a kid. It was never a result of horror. Trash stash. That's nice. Yeah, very nice. I want to get some people in this documentary who really don't have, who aren't really like the usual people, So sky's the limit. So, keep letting me know who you want involved in Kinder Trauma, and we will do our best to get them. And then, of course, if you have questions for any of these people, please leave it in the comments. Message me. One of the things, because you guys are friends, we're all fans of horror. I want to be able to I love reaching out to people, and I love hearing from everybody about, what you guys want to see more of. And with these projects that I work on, if I can make it happen, I'm going to make it happen, because this is a community that, I want to help make happy, because, we're all fans of horror movies. And it's really cool to have an opportunity like this. And I just want to extend the invite to everybody to um, potentially make an impact on this documentary and have your ideas become a part of it as well. Psycho 4 is a great Garris film. I have not seen any of the Psycho movies still. Those are on the Snacks and Screams list, let me tell you. Get the main kid from Are You Afraid of the Dark? Cool idea. Oh, man. I'm not gonna say that she's for sure in the doc, but she said yes. So, really hoping that, it works, we can work with her schedule for that. Fresh faces would be great. Content creators, for example, some great people out there from the wonderful world of TikTok and YouTube. Yes, Gory Bits, please, any of you guys, who do you want to see interviewed for this doc that is not just, people, because creators are all part of this, and we all have our theories, and we're all fans, and we all create something interesting. So leave a comment below of who you would like to see that is not even like a regular or director or an actor or actress, but a content creator in the horror world, that you think would have something really, really interesting to say. Um, because in our talent list, we do have some names, and we, could always use more. Dead Meat. CZS World should be interviewed. Spencer from Ice Nine Kills. Working on it. James Rolfe, Angry Video Game Nerd. Oh man, that would be such a good one. Great idea, Gory B Movie Horror Addicts. Sean Patrick Urshan, Corey Feldman. I know lots of fans, lots of boys. Great idea, guys. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. And if you think more, return to this video, leave a comment, with the people and the topics, content creators, writers, any, whatever movie even that you might want us to discuss, leave it in the comments. This is your chance to have an influence on the Kindertrauma documentary. So please continue to leave comments. But it is 10:02, so I'm reaching over an hour now, and I appreciate you guys for being here, whether you're here for 5 minutes, 30 seconds, the whole hour, whatever. Thank you for your time. Thank you for interacting with me. Thank you for supporting this channel. Thanks for being a friend. Dun, 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 dun. Thank you for being a friend. And I can't wait to share more with you guys with this project and just anything else that we're working on. It's exciting. There's some really cool things and ahead that I'm looking forward to this year. So fingers crossed that everything comes to fruition. Making things real can be difficult, but I have high hopes and I'm manifesting, just like every other girl. And I hope you guys are doing well and you're, happy, healthy, thriving, and enjoying good horror movies. If not myself, there's a man named Kid Sledge. Joe Biden. Can you imagine? We're just gonna have him in for 5 seconds and he's gonna be like, well, I would love that. That would be so funny. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you lots. Yeah, we'll keep you posted on that and everything else to come. But keep leaving your comments and I will see you next week. Oh, this time next week, Fredheads is going to be out. Yo, holy crap. That's right. Fredheads, the documentary about the Nightmare on Elm Street fandom, is going to be officially released and should be on your doorstep either the day before, the day of, the day after, somewhere around there. If you've pre-ordered it, it is available on Amazon. This time next week, it's going to be out. Holy moly. And actually, this time next week, a lot of people are probably going to be having Valentine's dinner or, just at home eating pizza, watching good horror movies and having a good time. So treat yourselves, self-love, watch good horror movies, eat pizza, Chinese food, whatever you love. Yeah, and my wish for you in the next week is just to take care of yourself and to maybe, I don't know, consider watching Fredheads and let me know what you think because I want to hear. Definitely want to hear. But all right, guys, thank you and love you lots. Talk to you soon and stay spooky, my friends. D.